Hi everybody. I have another project to share with you. This is one that I've been working on for several months. I started it back in October and it's now February. And I wasn't working on it nonstop all that time. There were times when I didn't touch this project for a week or two at a time, but um, it is a lengthy project. If you like to do embroidery work, I would highly, highly recommend this project for you. I think you would love it. There are some stitches that, I don't do that much embroidery work, but I am familiar with some of the embroidery stitches, but there are quite a few embroidery stitches that I was not familiar with, and I have an embroidery book that has a lot of different stitches in it, but some of the stitches that were used in this project were not even in my embroidery book that I have. So there were some new things to learn, which is, always nice. And on top of that, it's just a fun project. It's written by Carolyn Pierce, called Home Sweet Home, and it's a sewing box. It opens up. You can see the flap is open in the back, and it has a tray that fits in the top. You can see the corner of the tray right there, and it doesn't go all the way down. It only goes about halfway. So the bottom part of the box is an open compartment so that you can store some of these little accessories. So let me see, there's another picture in here that gives you a better view of the tray. Sorry for the glare, but there's the little tray that goes inside. And as you can see, it's got little compartments in the tray and then all these little accessories that you can make to go with it. I didn't make all of the things. Matter of fact, I didn't make these sections that are in the inside. I left it as one open tray because I didn't make all of these little accessories, so I didn't see the need for making all of the compartments if I wasn't making all of the little accessories. But there is the back side of the house. But there's several pictures in here. There's a picture again of the house and the tray and some of the little accessories that go inside. But it is a very well written book, and lots of pictures, and as I mentioned, in the back of the book there's some instructions for certain stitches, and I'm sure it's stitches that that you don't do a lot in embroidery, so probably some stitches that you don't use very often. There I have a pouch that I put in here. It has my sheet, which has all of the instructions, which comes with the book. And see, it was ripped out right there. And I did not cut my pattern apart. I just put it on the copier and made copies of it so that I would always have my original. And then I've got lots of notes in here because I changed some things about it as I made it. Because she is an Australian author, some of the supplies that were used in this book I could not find here in the States, so I had to substitute some things, and so I made notes about that so that when I decide to make it again, I probably will make it, but it won't be anytime soon. But when I do decide to make it again, I'll have my notes to remind me as to what I did. So let me show you what the little house looks like. So this is the little house completed, and I just love it. I almost hate to give it away, but I made it for my dear sweet friend Al Jean, and I am going to give it to her. As you know, she's a seamstress, and so I think she will definitely enjoy having a sewing box that looks like a little house. So the front panel, as you can see, has the little windows and the door and the rose tree, and it has a bunny and some flowers. The window was a little bit, it wasn't hard to do. It was just, if you look at this picture, you see that the cross pattern in the window is smaller than mine. If you look at mine, you see how wide mine are. And I did it just like the picture, but it was just too crowded. You couldn't really tell what was going on there. It just looked like it was just a jumbled mess. And so I didn't like it at all. And so I decided to make the cross pattern bigger. And that way it just looks cleaner to me. And so if you decide to take on this project, you'll find ways of changing things that fit you better, you know. And so I just wasn't happy with my method of trying to do what she did there. So I was able to do it this way, and I'm just as pleased with it. And then the only other thing that I changed is you look at the roof there, it looks different from mine. I tried doing that using a 28 count fabric, and the holes were so hard for me to see, to stitch through them. So I just decided I was not going to go blind trying to do this project. So I decided I've got to figure out another method. I have to do something different. So I didn't want to make it bigger. I could have gone to a larger, account that was a little bit larger, but then that means the little checkered pattern wouldn't be quite so tiny and it probably wouldn't look as good. So I just decided to choose a different method. So I just used a burlap. So there's no stitching at all on this rooftop. So that actually saved me some time. And so what I did also is I pulled out every other thread, pulled out every other horizontal thread, and it gave me a larger pattern. So it's a more of an open pattern than it would have been had I left the other threads in there. I just think it looks a lot better. It's probably not making any sense to you at all. I'm sorry. But anyway, let me move on. So anyway, after I finished the front panel, the only thing left on there was to add the little charm. The rabbit has a carrot, and it's a little metal charm, and it actually has bling, little green rhinestones in the leafy part of the carrot top. And then the door has a bead cap and a little tiny seed bead as the doorknob on the door. And this is one of the stitches that was very new to me, and I definitely had to follow the instructions to figure out how to do it. And but you notice how it gives you a different look. It almost looks like there's two different color brown threads there, but it's just the texture that you get from that stitch that gives it that look, and it actually, to me, looks like a wooden door. So that was the first panel that I did, was the front one, and I was pleased with it, so I moved on to the next panel. And the next panel is strawberries. It's a strawberry plant, and I've added some little bees that are buzzing around the strawberry plant. There's a little caterpillar here, and the plant, it's blooming, and there's one berry that's not quite ripe right there. And then you just fill in the bottom with a lot of little flowers. And then I moved on to the back panel, and this is the orange tree. And I have a little house, a little birdhouse that's hanging there. And then I've embroidered a little bee. And then lots of little flowers across the bottom. And on hers, she actually has a basket that she embroidered right here. And she had beads that looked like little oranges. They were yellow and orange. I couldn't find yellow and orange beads anywhere, especially tiny ones. And so I decided to scrap the basket, and I just filled in that spot with more flowers. So that probably saved me a little bit of time doing that basket too. But that's the only change on that panel. And then the last panel is the pea plant. And there's the two pea pods, and then there's a leaf there, and I've added a hummingbird charm. There's a little ladybug, a window, and the plant has got a couple of blooms on it. There's a snail right there, and then I've filled in with a lot of different plants. There's also another bloom down there. And there's a itty bitty little worm that's climbing up the side of the plant stalk right there. And then on the bottom, it has made by Laquita for Algene. And then the feet are covered buttons. So that completes the house on the outside. And then the way you put it together is each panel, you wrap, once you finish your embroidery work, you wrap it around a piece of chipboard and stitch it you stitch it so that it will stay on there. It's kind of hard to explain, but anyway, it will have your embroidery on one side. The back side of your chipboard is going to be the unattractive side, right? It's going to have all your stitch work, which is holding your fabric onto the chipboard. So you have to cover that. So the way you do that is you make another box that you slide down inside of it. So it's actually two boxes. It's one box inside of another. So it ends up making this box pretty heavy. So, but the rooftop, before I go to the inside, the roof, I have added silver cylinder shaped beads. And then I've got a silver bead cap, and then on top of that there's a tiny little silver bead. Well, in the book she actually uses a green cylinder bead. I couldn't find green, so you know, that was just another change that I had to make. Also, I used elastic for these loops, where on here you can see she's got a green thread loop at the top, and I didn't like the fit that I was getting using just the thread. The house wasn't staying closed. The roof wasn't staying closed. So when I switched it out to this elastic band, now I don't have a problem with that. So it was another little change that I made. So on the inside, you can see that there is the outside portion of the house, and then there is the inside portion. And so once you build your house and stitch it all together, then you have to build this inside house and push it down inside, and then you stitch it together all along the top and all across there. And that's what keeps it all together. So it's nice and sturdy. It's not ever going to lose its shape or anything. It's well built. And then you make these little panels to go on each side inside of the roof, and then you also have to add a little elastic band so that you can put some accessories in there. So as you can see, I've got the scissors on one side with the little fob that has the A for Algene and some pretty little beads dangling from it. I also hung mine from the scissors with beads, and I think she uses a cord in her instruction book there. And then on this side it has a pretty little flower on there. On the other side, it has a needle threader. And then here is the needle book. And see, it has the little pea plant on that side. And on this side, it has just some flowers with the little ladybug. And then I did use the thread closure, the loop on this one with a bead. And then inside is where you would add your needles. And I'll put some needles in here for her before I give this to her. And so you just, you know, loop the little loop over the bead, and it keeps it closed. And then here inside, I've used beads as my little handles instead of the cord that they have used, that she used in the book. And so I just needed, I felt like the string wasn't sturdy enough, or I don't know. I just felt like I had more something to hold on to by adding the beads to it. So it was easier for me to grab this than it was a string. And so as you can see, I don't have the compartments inside, which I just decided not to do. But it's double layered. You see it has two different layers there, and it's all stitched together. There's no glue used anywhere in this project. It's all sewn together by hand. And then inside there is a pin cushion, which has all the little flowers embroidered on there. The other side is just a button. And then this is the measuring tape holder. So it's retractable measuring tape there. And then I've got a strawberry plant on one side. It's got a ripe berry and then a berry that's not ripe. And on the other side, it has the little flower on there. So those are the only things that I made to go inside. And I think that that's plenty to go in there. So I hope Algene is happy with this little box. I did enjoy making it. I had a lot of fun making this box. And as I said, I would definitely recommend it if you are interested in doing an embroidered project. It's definitely a fun one, and it will take some time to do, but if you don't mind that part of it, that it's a long, tedious project, then I think you'll enjoy it. So that's my latest project. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.